Well, the extradition trial of self-proclaimed prophet Shepherd Bushiri continues in Malawi today. He faces 8 counts of rape dating back to 2016. Together with his wife, they are charged with money laundering, jumping bail and contravening foreign currency regulations. The Bushiris argue that South African witnesses whose statements were included in extradition documents must testify in Malawi. But eNCA reporter Tshegohaco Moagi is following this story for us, and let's get an update now from her. Tshegohaco, a very warm good morning to you, colleague. Just remind us, I suppose, of what took place this week.
Well, good morning, colleagues. So what actually took place last week, Monday, this case keeps being postponed to the following Monday, was that the defense has requested that, as you've mentioned, that witnesses who are in South Africa, whose names are mentioned in the extradition papers, that they actually go to Malawi to testify. And the state has opposed this because they're saying that this is not a trial for the Bushiris in Malawi. Instead, the trial will actually take place in South Africa because they are facing those charges of fraud, money laundering, and theft. And that is just the one part of what took place. The defense also raising issues about them not receiving documents from South Africa, from the state. And then the magistrate last week ordering that they've got 7 days, the state has got 7 days to give the defense these particular papers. And then we also heard the issue, Dumelo, around whether this matter should be heard as a civil or a criminal matter, and it will then be heard as a criminal matter. This is the ruling that was made by the magistrates last week.
And just speaking of that context, then what can we expect to take place today?
Well, today we are expecting Magistrate Patrick Chirwa to rule on these particular matters, especially the issue of whether witnesses from South Africa should actually go to Malawi to testify on the extradition case. And that is the main issue that we are looking into today, what the ruling there will be. Just a reminder as well that Magistrate Patrick Chirwa himself was requested to recuse himself. There was an application from the defense. They said that he was biased to this particular matter, but that obviously fell through, and he's now still presiding over this particular matter. So he will actually rule on all these issues later today.
Yeah, and that is happening. And I remember when I read, some of the reports coming through, that there seems to be issues, the Bushiris arguing that witnesses who have, sort of included their statements in the extradition documents need to testify in Malawi. This seems to be what they're hanging on right now.
Absolutely. That is definitely what they are hanging on. The Bushiris claiming that they do not believe that all the witnesses are actually, that some of the witnesses could be fake. And this is what they are hanging on as the defense. And this is how we'll then see how this extradition trial will actually move forward. So the big thing really is, Dumelo, as you've mentioned, the issue of whether witnesses from South Africa whose names have been mentioned in the extradition documents, whether they will then be told to actually go all the way to Malawi to testify, or whether they will be able to hear this extradition case without them in Malawi, but rather relying on the documents and the evidence that has been presented to the Malawian government.